Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Cindy, and today we are going to make another birthday cake. I'm putting my Wilton pan release in my pans, and then I'm going to be using the purple cloth baking strips today because they do really well with the round cakes. So after it's coated with the pan release and the baking strips are on the pans, then you want to fill it with cake mix, and you want to fill it about halfway so it does not cook over and make a mess in your oven. See how nice and flat the cakes come out? You never have to worry about cutting the tops off or any of the other ideas that people come up with as long as you use the baking strips. Wouldn't you say this is just the simplest way possible? And just so you know, I can never go with the recipe that's right on the box. I have to doctor up my cake mixes to make them exactly the way I want them, nice and moist. Here I'm using the Duncan Hines white cake mix. I'm using 1 box mix and an additional 1/3 cup of mix. I'm using 3 egg whites and 1 1/4 cups of water and 2 tablespoons of oil. I am also going to be making a fondant banner and an airplane. I'm using the Wilton vanilla fondant, and I'll be adding some Wilton color to that to get it the texture that I need to make my banner. So I have my banner all rolled out, and you want to make it really thin, and it needs to harden just a little bit, and it'll be flexible enough that you can work with it to put it on the cake. If it's not exactly right, you can just trim away those edges with your cutting tool until you get it exactly the way you want it. So now I'm just icing it with my buttercream frosting. And then we will get on with the decorating. When you're working with colored icings, you want to mix up as much of that colored icing at one time as you can, because it's hard to go back and match your colors later sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and work on my bottom layer. The blue icing color is a little bit darker than what I wanted, so I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit and put a second coat on. After the icing air dries just a little bit, then I go take a paper towel and just smooth out any of the imperfections. It usually doesn't take but a couple of minutes. It's always better to have a little too much icing on top and in the middle than it is to not have enough, but you just got to make sure it does not pile up around the bottom. There are several different ways you can stack the cake for transportation. But I like to take my plate and mark on the top of the cake where my posts are going to go. And then I take the posts that I have cut and I insert them into the cake. After I get the posts where I want them, then I set that plate right back down on top of the cake and put a little icing on top of that plate so that when I put my cake board on top of that, it will stay in place. I'm using my star tip to start putting some airplanes and clouds on the cake. I'm just continuing to place the clouds and airplanes where I want them, and then I will take a paper towel and kind of pat those down to make them look more defined and neat looking. I'm going to outline my planes and my clouds a little bit more because I think it makes them look a little more defined. So that's what I'm doing now. A lot of those decorations can be sharper looking if they're put on in fondant, but most of the people I make cakes for don't really care for the fondant so much, so they would rather me try to draw them with the icing if possible. So now it's time to stack the cakes. I always put a little icing on top of that plate before I put the other cake on it, and that will keep it stable while I am transporting it to its location. In case you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to find the best sides of each cake so that when I put them together, each one will be showing its best side when I deliver it. I wasn't quite happy with that, so I had to take it off and redo it. I am way too particular with my cakes. I work so hard to make them perfect, and there's no cake that's ever going to be perfect, but I definitely want to give it my best shot for every single cake. So now it's time to put on the fondant banner and the finishing touches, and soon the cake will be complete. I guess for this cake I really should put on the borders first. And they are two different colors, so they're going to take a little bit of time. Time for the fondant airplane and banner. I usually put a little icing on the spots that I'm going to put it on, and that kind of helps it stick. Or you can also wet the back of your fondant, and that'll help it stick to your icing as well. So I'm just putting on all the finishing touches, trying to make it as best it can be, because it's about time for this little girl's birthday party, and I know she's going to be excited. She was so sweet at the party. She said, "I just love my cake. Thank you for my cake." And that's exactly why I do them, because I love to put smiles on their faces. I hope you enjoyed my cake baking tips, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you in the next video.